2 years is the average time that it takes for somebody who's struggling with burnout symptoms to reach out for help. And that's a number that you need to know, especially if you're the manager or the leader of a team or the partner of somebody who's struggling with burnout. And I say 2 is the average time because I've also seen people that they have also exceeded this time frame. I was working with a client months ago, and he told me that it took him 3 years to reach out, knowing that he was struggling with burnout. But there were also 3 years prior to these 3 years that he knew that he didn't know that he was struggling with burnout. So it can take more than 2 years before we reach out for help. But why does it take so much? That's what we are going to explore today. I'm going to give you 5 reasons, and you need to actually know all these. It will make perfect sense why somebody takes longer time than it should take in order to seek help for something that can be really severe at some cases. My name is Vassia. I'm a psychologist, and I'm an expert in perfectionism and burnout. And why do I say these two together? Because I know very well, I've seen it from my own experience with my clients, but also from research. I know how this toxic, negative, self-sabotaging mindset of perfectionism, where we set unrealistic standards for ourselves, where we keep working and we're focusing only on work, where we say yes to everything because we don't want to miss out, we don't want to be excluded, where we care about what other people think, where we actually judge ourselves really harshly. I know how all this sustains this chronic stress, and chronic stress will mean down the road burnout. So there's a direct connection between perfectionism and burnout. The first reason is the most important because it starts actually with the knowledge of what happens in our brain when we are in this state of chronic stress and burnout. What happens is that the structure of our brain changes. The prefrontal cortex squeezes. And what does that mean? It means that the center of the logical, rational decisions, the center of all the executive functions in our brain is malfunctioning. It doesn't work optimally. And this is where we focus and concentrate. Have you noticed not being able to focus and concentrate? Exactly. It's because the prefrontal cortex is not working properly. This is where our brain processes information. This is where we plan our day. This is where we plan our decisions. This is where we make decisions. And it doesn't work. That's why we cannot evaluate our situation to a degree that will send us to the good decision of talking to a professional, of reaching out, of sharing that we are struggling, of reaching out for help. That's why it takes so long. The second reason is that there are, as I said in the introduction, there are many people that they don't know that this is burnout. They don't have the awareness. And according to a study that was published at the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology, 45% of employees that they didn't know that what they were experiencing, they were not aware that what they were experiencing was burnout. And sometimes we even think that this is temporary, this is only situational, and it's going to change. And eventually, when they get educated about burnout, they just connect the dots. It makes perfect sense because all the physical and mental and emotional symptoms that they experience, they come under this umbrella. And as I said, they make sense. So if you're listening and you are a manager of a team, don't underestimate the value of a training that educates your team members of the symptoms of burnout or stress, knowing what they experience and what that can lead to will actually prevent their mental health from escalating. They will prevent from your team falling apart eventually, because one person having a burnout means that all the rest, they need to catch up, they need to contribute. Or maybe if more than one people burn out, that's also a strong sign that there's something there that we don't see as a team or as a company, or we are dismissing even. The third reason is that self-reliance. We don't want to be a burden. We have learned that we need to resolve our own issues by ourselves. But also we know that if we take a sick leave, for example, somebody else will take our workload. Somebody else will have to compensate for our absence. And that's a practical reason of considering ourselves of a burden. And that's why we don't say anything. We don't communicate anything. We just hide it and suppress all the symptoms, but also all the feelings that we're experiencing. But also, we don't want to even share the emotional burden with other people. We think that, other people have their own problems. They also have their own mental health or their family problems or financial or whatever. We don't want to impose. We think that we are going to impose on them. And then again, we keep that inside us, which creates another massive amount of energy that we are spending suppressing something that is normal, suppressing these emotions, hiding them, putting on a facade that everything is okay. This is a massive amount of energy we're spending, even though we have zero or very little energy to spend. That's because of the burnout. That's the burnout, mental fatigue, drained energy. So we don't have any energy, but we keep spending it on keeping things on ourselves, processing it on ourselves, working it out on ourselves. Reason number 4, we are afraid of the stigma. We are afraid that we're going to be judged. And there is a study from the American Psychological Association, APA, that says that 31% of the employees, they didn't say that they were struggling with burnout because of the fear that they will be judged. And that's why we keep it to ourselves. That's why we don't seek help, because of the stigma, because we think that struggling and experiencing mental health challenges is not normal. That's the stigma. That is not normal, even though everybody experiences that, and it's more normal than anything in the human experience. Still, we hide it. Still, we think that this is going to be a label that will not be forgotten. This is going to be something that people will always remember about us. And it will change the impression that they have of us, the image that they have of us. And then that leads me to the final reason, reason number 5, which is we don't seek help because we are afraid of the consequences, the job consequences. We are afraid that we're going to miss opportunities. People will exclude us from opportunities. We are afraid that we're going to be passed over on a promotion. We are afraid that we will face discrimination. We are even afraid that we're going to lose our job. Yes, I've also heard that as well, that we're going to lose our job if we not only say that we're struggling, but also if we take the well-deserved sick leave. So people don't say anything. People stifle all this burden on all this overwhelming experience, which of course doesn't resolve it, but it makes it even bigger. Knowing all that, it's crucial so that we create a safer environment for people to share. All these 5 reasons are about how safe we feel in our environment in order to seek help. We don't seek help because we think that we don't deserve it, or that we're going to pay a high price for seeking help. And that's something that we can change. We can change it as a company. We can change it as a team. We can change it as a couple. We can change that, the way that somebody feels when they're struggling with their mental health. If we're talking about an organization, we can create more trainings, workshops on educating everybody on the basics. What is stress? How to handle it? what are the first symptoms of burnout, how to recover, how to prevent it. It's just the basics. So we can create mental health awareness days where everybody knows that, everybody communicates to each other the knowledge that they have learned. And by doing this basic and very important psychoeducation, we are actually fighting stigma. It's okay if somebody struggles. It's our life is really busy. The mental stimuli is relentless. It's okay if we struggle with our mental health. It's okay if we take a sick leave. It's okay if we say that it's enough, we cannot take anymore. That's what we learn. We fight stigma. Nobody's is a less deserving person because of stress or burnout or anxiety. So creating that baseline is important at this moment. So if you're struggling with burnout, reach out to me. I have a program where a group program that starts soon, and we are recovering from burnout, but also we're building resilience so that it will not happen to you again. We're building all the coping mechanisms that you need in a holistic system so that you will not struggle with burnout again. If you're a company, an organization, reach out to me so that we can create a training for your team so that we make sure that people know what it is and they will not feel intimidated or scared to be human, to put it in a simple way. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, let me know your questions, let me know your comments, and of course, take care of yourself.